Hey folks, welcome to Soul Talk. I'm so excited to have in the house today internationally known Miss Jojo Diggs in the house. She's from Virginia, but she is repping Culture Shock and the Whackers and legendary Mop Top Crew. So she is the business, yeah? So welcome, Jojo. I'm so excited to have you.
Hi, thanks for having me. Thanks for setting this up and doing everything that you're doing.
Thank you. And thank you for doing what you're doing, which we'll get to in a second, right? So let's just jump right into it and tell everybody when and how did you start dancing?
All right. Well, like you said, I grew up in Virginia, and my brother, who's about 3.5 years older than me, he and I used to watch House Party. So this is back when I was in like 7th grade. And so I think he and I, he messed around and taught me the Kid and Play.
Mm-hmm.
And we were like actually setting it up to do it at a house party. So that was like my very first exposure. And then I learned the Roger Rabbit and the Running Man.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. But I was growing up in a really white, like very conservative environment, and nobody around me was like getting down at all. And I felt like it was very like uncool because it was like not an environment to do it in, right?
Right.
So I was basically I didn't even know I was doing it until I got older, but I was like hiding the fact that I was dancing. Like I would go up in my room and like get down. And then when I would go out and like dance and party and stuff, that was like the first thing I did. Like I would bolt to the dance floor.
Nice.
So in that way, I was like, it was 7th grade, but officially when I accepted my fate as a dancer, I was 22.
Nice.
And I was out, and long story short of it is that a girl was like, hey, you should try ballroom dancing. We need people, we need instructors. We teach you for free. And so you take, you get free instruction and then you teach. So I tried it, and I like literally the first night I just was like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been waiting for my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Up until that point, I had like a 9-to-5 computer job, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I loved it. I really gravitated towards dance, and in some way, both of my parents were teachers, so this was also like an avenue for a lot of teaching, and so I just fell in love with that. But then there was like this moment when I was when we like had a special guest instructor come in,
Mm-hmm.
and I had like started to find my voice, right? And I think they were training us in the cha-cha, and I was like, can I do this with my leg? And you can't see it, obviously. It was like this leg. And they were like, no, you can't. And then that's like when I was like, this is not the one for me. And I knew that was not the dance I was going to marry. And then I just started like going out to clubs and bars and found like I had no idea that there was like a dance community, none.
Mm-hmm.
And basically walked up to this guy who later became my entire advocate for like all of freestyle dance. His name is Asiatic.
Uh-huh.
And he's up in the Bay. And so he introduced me to essentially everything. And he was the person who introduced me to house. And that's the one I like immediately knew, like, this is the dance I'm going to marry. And that was around 23, 24. So I met the love of my life around 23. Yeah. So
I think it's great. A couple of things that I love about what you said. First, I can absolutely see how coming from ballroom dancing that you would be so phenomenal in house. It's just like a seamless transition. I feel like the footwork, perfect match, right? So if you were good in ballroom, I could absolutely see how you're an amazing house dancer, which she is, y'all. But also, what I wanted to really tap into is the fact that you were like 22, 23, right? 24 even. And people, I've heard a lot recently, you know, am I too old to dance? Or, you know, I didn't start dancing when I was a kid. And so is it too late for me? And so I really just, there is something I kind of watch Super Soul Sunday sometimes, actually a lot of times. And there was a guest who was talking about ageless living and how, you know, age is kind of something, a societal construct, right? So we put our limits on ourselves about what we should be doing at what age. And I just think it's great that you actually found it and fell in love with it in your 20s, when most people are like, I already have chosen a career and have, you know, going to college doing something they probably don't love, and you were just discovering yourself. And I think that's amazing. I love that.
Thank you. And I just want to just talk about that, because so one of the best things that my boyfriend has said is like, and I was like asking about discernment, and I said, well, how do you know if it's God? And Jade said, it's God if there's like no doubt. And that's how it was. Like when I found dance at 22, that was like because at the time I was not a very connected person. But that was like one of the first spiritual experiences where I was like, I knew there was no stopping me. And I'm presencing this because everyone around me was like, what are you doing? This is a really dumb decision. You have this skill in computer jobs. You can make a very solid income. All of that's reliable. What are you doing? You're 22 years old. This is think about it. If your friend at 22 was like, I'm going to throw away everything I have lined up to go maybe be good at dance. It's a very risky decision. So I just want to say that because there was no stopping me, and I didn't know how to not do this. And I just had something really inside of me that it was a force, honestly bigger than myself. And for a while I was like, oh man, I wish I would have started younger, and where would I be now, and yada yada. But now at some point I talk to God about it, and I am one of the messengers for people. God has a timing, and even if you don't believe in God, fine. Universe has a timing, but we all work together in perfect timing. And yours might not make sense to you, but it does make sense to the whole. And I do believe that one of the reasons that I got started later was so one, I could have my experiences that I needed earlier, but two, so that I could be a reminder for people. There is no age limit to when you can start and still have your dreams. And now I don't work a day in my life. I haven't worked a day for about 8 years now. You know?
I love that.
Yeah. Okay. And so I just wanted to share that to whoever's watching that might be like,
that's exactly what people need to hear. And speaking of never working a day in your life, I want you to clarify, because some people are probably confused by that statement, but I know exactly what you mean.
What I'm referencing, yeah.
Exactly. So you started dancing 23, 24, you found house, fell in love, and then was it like, okay, so now I'm going to be a professional house dancer, a professional dancer, or what happened next? How did you fall into, or not fall into, how did you come to be, sort of where you are now?
Obviously a long process. So growing up in Virginia, started at 22, left for Phoenix around 27, didn't like that. Decided to go to LA. Let me tell you, never in my wildest dreams did I think I was going to make it as a dancer. It just wasn't what at all. I was not doing it. And in third grade, I took a career test, and it said I was going to be an actress or entertainer. And I was like, this will never happen to me because I'm not that interesting or lucky. So I never had it that I was going to be able to make it. So none of me going to LA was to make it. It was just because I wanted to dance. And then sort of, as the universe would have it, immediately when I got there, I got lined up with this workshop. That workshop, she was like, you're amazing. We want to bring you to Spain for 2 months. And I was like, yeah, right. Sure enough, I got this email in January to go to Spain for 2 months. And I was like, holy shit. And it was like, excuse me, sorry. Holy shit.
No.
And, but it was first of all, it was a steady income, which who knows, dancers don't know that.
Yeah.
And And then when I was over in Europe, I hustled. Man, you want to use the word hustle? I hustled. Like, I contacted every single person I knew that might know someone in Europe, and I flew myself out to all these places in Europe. And I was teaching Monday through Thursday and half a day on Friday. So I would fly out on Friday evening. I would teach on Saturday. I would fly home Sunday. And I mean, I was like literally like dizzy. And I mean, I was exhausted for those months, but every time I went to go teach, I would make sure I filmed the class and I would post up on my video, YouTube, London, Spain, Madrid, Barcelona, and made it. And I really showed off that I was teaching around around the world, because I thought if I make it look like I'm teaching, which I was, but I was just buying my own flights. There was one workshop I profited off of, but the rest of them I either broke even or lost money. But anyway, I was so excited about that. But yeah, sure enough, like I made it really like focused that I was teaching around the world. And so I was like, I think if I do it like this, and people will think, wow, she's teaching around the world. We want her too.
Yeah.
And I made myself look like a hot commodity. And there was no lying. Like, I was not lying about anything.
Yeah.
I just was investing in myself. Once I got an inkling that I could do it, I went full force. And then I came home, back to LA, not home, LA. And I wanted a class at Debbie Reynolds. So the lady that runs that, her name is Roberta. And
I remember Roberta.
Yeah. So I was like, Roberta, can I have a class? And she was like, no, we really don't have anything in the schedule. And so I was going in every morning, because once you start subbing there, you can use like free rehearsal space. So I was going in every morning to dance. Mm-hmm. And then when I would leave, I'd say, Roberta, can I have a whacking class? And she'd be like, do you know how many people want a class here? And I'd say, yes, I know, but I'm here asking you for it. She'd be like, sorry, we just don't have space. So whatever, like 5 weeks later, every day, she was like, if I give you a class, will you stop bothering me? And I was like, so she like basically added another class to the end of like, I think it was like Saturday or something. So she just like added a class for me. So stuff like that, just like really, really not having ego about stuff. And like, I think when people go into it with the mindset of making it, something will be lost. And you have, at the time, it wasn't even like I was like choosing to love dance. I just was loving dance, and I just wanted it so bad that like nothing was going to stop me, not even myself, right? And I just think that people just if you just do what you love, it'll work out.
Absolutely.
And we're in a time where people are really, trying to make this a career, and that's good. Like, have goals, but just, I think if you're trying to make it, you're going to get lost, because you won't be based on principles.
Absolutely.
You have to just do what you love and what you believe in, and then you'll naturally not be stopped by that. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
You said so many things that I want to touch on. Oh my gosh, great stuff. So I love that you said the first thing is that you went to a class and then you got a contract, right? So that's something that I'm always saying, get your talent class, because it's the greatest networking ever. And then you have the opportunity to be seen and book jobs. So I think that's great that you said that. That was validation.
Yeah.
Two, I love that you said you invested in yourself. So once you felt like this was something that you could really do, that you made the move, so you didn't wait and feel like you had to get an agent, or you had to do this, or you had to do that you went out and made it happen.
No. I was homeless for 9 months.
Oh my gosh. Wait, what do you mean?
I was sleeping in my car and in the park and on people's couches for 9 months in LA.
Really?
Yeah.
Before this workshop?
What
was the timeline?
Let's see. So yeah. So I came to LA, and I was going to do this. It's kind of a long story, but basically I came to LA. I was going to do this t-shirt company. I lost all this money, and then so I had nothing, and so I was just floating around. So I had been floating around in LA for like 6 weeks, and I was like overwhelmed. I couldn't handle it. Went up to Big Bear, couch surfed up there for a while, came back, and then once I came back, some short time after that, that's when I got the class. So,
Wow.
yeah.
That's like, that's really incredible, right? I think that's an amazing story, and you should absolutely lead with that all the time. You should be like, I was in my car for 9 months, and now look where I am. Like, it's an incredible story. I love that.
I was like bathing in the bathrooms at the grocery store.
Oh my gosh, Jojo.
Because I didn't want to tell anyone, because I didn't want anyone to be worried about me. So the only person who kind of caught on was Tony Czar, because he's like my brother.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, I was not telling anyone. And I was like, hey, do you mind if I like crash here? And he was like, yeah, of course, it's fine. And then I was like, can I shower? And he was like, mm-hmm. And he just looked at me and I was like, and then the next day he was like, are you all right? And I was like, yeah, why? He's
Oh
like,
my gosh.
yeah. So,
That shows incredible strength. So what do you think? I wasn't planning on asking this, but I can't let this conversation go. So what do you think, what kept you there? Why didn't you go back to Virginia?
But I swear, like, I don't even, like, I can't explain it. I just didn't know how to not do it. There was like, I just wanted to dance. That's all I wanted to do.
And so
All I wanted to do. That my fire was like, it had to be God, not me. Because I was like unstoppable. Like I had nothing could stop me. Like I wouldn't even say like now, like when I go to the gym, like I have to get myself to go to the gym. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I gotta be like, come on, girl, you want this. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like, come on, Joe, you're gonna make it one day. It wasn't. I was just like, all right, ramen noodles. Right.
Yeah.
It was. I don't know.
That shows incredible strength, I think. And absolutely agree. It has to be bigger than you. And I think that's the next thing I want to touch on. A lot of people do it so that they can like be somebody, like be famous.
Yeah.
And then they lose out on the value of making it about the work. You know, I feel like when you always make it about the work. So when I say the work, I mean the thing that's coming through you, about the project, doing things in a spirit of excellence, about the story, about whatever it is that you're working on at hand. When you allow yourself to get bigger than that thing, then you miss the point, and then you miss out on moving to the next thing. Do you know what I mean? And
totally. It's just like any kind of relationship. Like if you start, let's say you start a relationship with someone and the foundation of it is, you know, shallow. It's until you recreate your foundation, it's gonna be like a seed in the wind. It's not gonna plant itself. So
you better preach, girl. You're absolutely right. Okay, so you just made it. You kept going.
Yeah.
So would you consider the workshop and the opportunity to go to Spain as your like big break, or if not?
Yeah, no, I mean, that was like the first time I was like, oh, I actually can do this. Like people would actually, like I might actually be good enough to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you would say that's your big break. Has anything, do you feel like been as big or exciting since that project?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. In total, I've traveled to 23 countries. And I got to work with Travis Payne.
Nice.
Yeah. He and Stacy did a musical in Japan. Mm-hmm. And I got to assist him and do like a little bit of choreography for that. And so that was like a huge learning experience. Trey Rich was there with me as well. Mm-hmm. And so that was really exciting. And then I went to Japan actually for 3 months a year for about 5 years. And I've just been able to travel so much. I went to Europe and choreographed for the So You Think You Can Dance over there. And just like teaching and workshops and just connecting with people all over the world, that's just been amazing. And I've gotten some offers for like big stuff, but without getting into specifics, they just didn't fit into like where I was at with like my morals and principles and stuff like that. Just certain things made me uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So I turned them down. knowing that they would be really great for my resume, but I just, at the end of the day, it was more about my relationship to it than it was about like how it looked on paper. And I remember calling my mom after I turned down like my biggest offer ever and telling her, and she was like, "I'm proud of you." And I was like, that's what I honestly like, isn't that, that was like way better than
the job, right?
The job. So yeah. So I think actually turning that down was like one of the biggest highlights of and just knowing that I stayed grounded, and then Digs Deeper has been life-changing for me.
I love that. But wait, hold on, I don't want to go there yet, because we can talk about Digs Deeper for forever. It's so incredible. So wait, back up. So do you have, or have you ever had an agent? Like, are you auditioning and things like that, or has it been like you just connections and getting work that way?
Yeah, me, I'm much more just word of mouth. I did not ever audition for the agency, and I got the job. I got connected to MSA through Tony Czar.
Okay.
Tony Czar, I'm just laughing at a story, but I won't share it. But Tony Czar has been a huge advocate for me along the way as well. Again, that's my brother. I took him to his first house club. He taught me my first choreography. That's my ace boom boom. But
are you with MSA now, or you're not?
No, I actually, so there was a time period where I didn't want to be with any agency. And I felt I left in a very respectful way. I wrote letters to the people I had been in contact with, came in and had a meeting, discussed it, presented it respectfully, was really, wanted to express my gratitude for what they had done for me. And, and then I didn't want to be with an agency at all. At this time in my life, I was just like, all I want to do is be with God. But then a year later, GTA approached me, and I don't remember what it was for, but they approached me about something. And so we just casually, and it was much more of like, when you grow up and you like start a relationship and you're like, well, let's just keep living side by side and see if we like flow into each other. So that's what I said to GTA. Like, let's not rush it. We don't have to just sign a relationship form. Let's just see if this works out like naturally. So that's, I am with GTA now, but it was like a very mature, we dated for a bit.
I think that's really smart, and I really am enjoying this conversation because it's so not traditional. You've really just paved your own way. And most people, I think, especially when you think of commercially, so when I say commercial, I'm not talking about commercials for people who don't know. I'm talking about, there's fine art, concert work, and then there's commercial work that's more for entertainment. But when people think of that, they think they have to get the agent, and then they have to do these auditions, and they have to do these types of projects. But you've really just charted your own course and done your own thing and kept your peace and kept your, you know what I mean? I think it's incredible, and everybody should hear it. Everybody should hear that story. So 2 more questions before it digs deeper. Wait. So how do you feel like you have been able to stay working the song? Just connections? People hitting you up? Connections.
God. Like, there's been times where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to pay rent, and then God will just provide because I do feel I'm doing God's work. I got the job I told you about in Japan for 3 months every year through MSA.
Nice.
So that was like a huge income for me, and that supplied like a lot of my income throughout the year. So I could do a lot of like community service because I had that sort of to sit on. So that was like a huge blessing. But like I decided not to go last year because I realized that I was like, if I had gone last year, I would have been going more so for the money than for the love I had for it. Because I definitely enjoyed it for 5 years. But then I was like, I can feel I'm like, it's shifting away from my purpose.
Outgrown it.
So I trusted that. And then, but again, like now, just different things are coming. And I mean, I guess it's sort of like a mixture of, again, like doing what I love, like with like passion and zeal. And then also trusting the path, like letting God provide for me too. So it's a balance. it's a dance. Like you bring yourself and you bring the music to you.
You are such a preacher, honey. Okay, and so, so what has been your biggest obstacle? Do you think? Like
Myself, like
I say,
my insecurities. Yeah, getting myself out of the way. I am just now, like this past couple months, realizing that a lot of my insecurities were total bullshit, and it was like my own power that I was intimidated by. And I'm now like starting to fully embrace myself exactly how I am, and like not even like accepting it, but like driving more of it. Like I used to, like I would not wear short sleeve like shirts because of my arms, and now I'm working out and I want to gain 10 pounds of muscle, because if I'm going to be an Amazon, I'm going to be like I'm going to be the fullest, you know?
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of that through my boyfriend too. But just, I think like I got in the way. Like everything I did or didn't do that hasn't gotten me to being like at my potential was just my own sabotage based on things that I didn't know I was doing. Maybe, certainly haven't been like on a perfect path, right? So definitely have made mistakes, definitely have been selfish, made choices from the wrong place.
Right.
Of course, right? That's totally normal.
We're human.
Yeah. But, now I can just see like everything I didn't have was from myself. Like it was just from myself. So, and then like, again, when I was just coming from what I loved, and like the outcome was indifferent, the outcomes were glorious.
Yeah. Yes, honey.
Yeah.
Yes. Say that. I love that. I recently was asked the same question, and so now I want to ask everybody, but that's the exact answer that I had was myself. You know what I mean? My control issues, not just letting go and letting God, and just being. I spent a lot of my 20s just unnecessarily anxious and frustrated and unhappy, just for no reason. Just because things weren't happening when I felt like they should be happening. Like just nonsense, honey. Right? So
yeah, and also like buying into a lot of what people were selling. Like, oh, you're supposed to look like this. You're too old to be doing this. And then like, no, like this is how not I was made, but like this is how God crafted me.
Right.
So I can either buy into him or I can buy into you. I'm going to go with this. And once you really do that, then you're free.
Right. I love that. So what are you working on now?
I'm up to 1,000 things right now. I feel like, how they always say James Brown was like the hardest working man in showbiz? No. So I live in Phoenix, and been building a lot into my boyfriend. His name is Soul, and so we do a lot of stuff under like the name Heart and Soul, because I love hearts everywhere and everything.
Nice.
And I love hearts, and they're tattooed and yada yada, whatever. So where I am, we're like building a lot of events through that, and like just conjoining ideas. He DJs, of course I teach, and so he DJs at my classes, and
nice.
We're trying to we do throw battles, but we throw them under like interesting, what we feel like to be developmental ideas. So like this weekend we're throwing a battle that's called Enter the Cypher. And so that's, we just really want to presence the love of dance and like cypher and like, yes, battle, cool. It's good to battle yourself, but not just letting it be competition. We just did a battle last weekend in Phoenix called Who Can Groove the Most, which was his idea. And it was a way to develop people's like reconnection to themselves and their natural groove. So stuff like that, events. I love throwing events because I'm all about community. I did start DJing a little bit, so I'm doing that. I love calligraphy, so I've been working on that. And of course, like my relationship with Christ is like number one. So I've been developing like I have a Bible study for women and just like reading scripture every day and like trying to build my relationship with him and finding ways to serve him And I feel like serving him like in ways that are not like money based has brought me opportunity. Just because I'm like putting my time in, like I'm putting my time in for him. Like I clock in for him. Not that I'm doing that, but someone said like, oh, you know, I bet you're getting that because you're putting in this work. Oh, that's an interesting idea. And then of course Digs Deeper and all of that entails, which is a huge amount of things. We're in 15 states and now we have four other countries that want to bridge that international gap. So we're looking into that and then just like solidifying our status. And then I'm gaining 10 pounds of muscle. So I'm doing that. And,
so you are busy. So can you tell everybody what Digs Deeper is for those who don't know? And you guys should definitely know and look it up in the area. It's an amazing event. Go for it.
All right. So Digs Deeper is, well, I'll tell you our mission statement. Digs Deeper is a ground for artists to be fully self-expressed, to surface awareness and acknowledgement to culture, and to bring individuals into leadership. So in and of itself, the event is it's a freestyle event, and a lot of people compare it to like spoken word for freestyle.
That's a good analogy. I would say that. I would agree.
It's very intimate. It's very personal. There's no videotaping allowed. And we have about 20 performers. So about 10 performers in. We do a Q&A panel. We generally will bring in one of the OGs, or like we try to go, we've now been around for almost 3 years. So, you know, it's gone down the line, but we really try to honor like lineage and doing like the eldest first. And we do like a 45-minute to an hour Q&A with them, again, honoring them, letting them share their experiences, their side of the story, whatever they want to do, and really just get a chance to acknowledge them, as well as like get the young kids to develop and bridge the gap of communication. And then a second act of performers. And then at the end, we do like a closing acknowledgement. And so that's been really powerful. And then just recently, we started using the Q&A panel to have a huge community discussion. So we've done 3 events like that where there was not a particular speaker, but like a round table for the community to actually talk to each other. Like, when does that happen? Off of Facebook. It doesn't happen off of Facebook. So we give them an opportunity, first, to acknowledge each other, 2, to clear up anything that is in their space, like, hey, you know, you kind of looked at me or whatever. And then so like once we get rid of like the individual stuff, then we have a huge discussion with everybody. So again, it's a ground for artists to be fully self-expressed. That's the freestyle, but also inside of the discussion. We surface awareness and acknowledgement to culture, which is tenfold, like people coming in, everyone helping out, and we don't make money off of it. Like, we make some, but basically it's to stabilize us. And then most of the money that comes in just goes right back out into the people that created it.
Nice.
And to bring individuals into leadership. So in those 15 states, there's a production manager in each location. So I'm not like flying out every time. So those people are stepping into that position and running these events in all the different states.
That's so incredible. Wait, before I ask you this next question, I have to say this because I might forget, but you're like a one-person culture of hip-hop. You dance, right? You said now you're into calligraphy, right?
Yeah.
So all you got to do is be an MC, and you're like...
Yeah, I mean, I MC the events. It's true.
You're right. So you
That's
are...
crazy. That's so true. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Right? So can you just say how did Digs Deeper come about? So how did you even start it?
Again, really natural. This is the story I always say. So basically, we were all sitting around in the living rooms in LA, like, LA doesn't have this, and there's no place to really share, and even the battles are like getting sold out, and like you go to the auditions and it's not about freestyle, it's just about turns and windmills and everyone was complaining, and I was all like hyped up, and then I was like, wait, no one's doing anything about this. This sucks. So I literally, and I always say, I don't even take credit for the idea. I just did like what we were complaining about not having. But then inside of that, I also heard that we were not communicating to one another. So then I also brought in the aspect of the Q&A panel. And yeah, but I've always loved that idea. I converted frustration into like passion. Like I turned like an anger into a passion. And I was like, God, if I could find
started, honey. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if I could figure out how to transform like any emotion that I don't want into like service, look at that. Like,
Right.
isn't that like mind blowing? Like I really do. And now I'm like, okay, like I'm pissed about this. What is it that I want to be doing? And it's like changed my life that like our irritations are passion for something that we haven't pursued.
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's how businesses generally thrive. You feel a need, right? You find a need and you meet it, and voila, there you have it, right?
Yeah. People are like, oh, don't be angry about it. No, get angry, but use it. Don't just sit around and be angry, but use it, you know? The first event was called Freestyle Showcase and Seminar Panel. I had like no idea that this was going to turn into what it is. So.
Took over. So how'd you come up with Digs Deeper? Obviously,
Well, God had sent me the name Digs Deeper earlier that year.
Yeah.
I just got the name, and but I didn't know what it was for. I just knew, and I really knew it was from God, and I knew it was going to be a big thing. Nice. But like when I thought of the event, I was like, well, this doesn't seem like a big thing.
But so it is.
But yeah, but now it's huge.
It's in countries.
Now it's honestly my ministry.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that, Jojo. And I think you have, from the first day I took your class, whenever that was, I think your spirit is just so authentic, and it's just so pure. Like I felt like, you know, it's everything that dance should be. I felt like connected to the movement and the rhythms, and then I felt connected to you, and I felt connected to what you were saying. And she talks like this all the time, by the way. She's just so soulful, and it's refreshing. You know what I mean? Yes. When you're in an industry where a lot of times, you know, dancers don't connect because they're competing against one another, or for whatever reason, people don't connect because we're humans and life happens. But I just think you're a breath of fresh air, and that's sincere. And
I want to tell people, like, it takes hard work.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked really hard, and I've had a lot of downtime, like a lot of time of like beating myself up, a lot of time of not being happy with where I am. So I just feel like it's important for people to know that like Gaga didn't magically end up where she was. Jojo didn't magically end up where the struggle is real in a totally different context.
Right.
And it's important to know that like if you're feeling frustrated, it has nothing to do with what you're capable of. Nothing.
Say that, honey.
Yeah, because everybody has to go through that. It's just a matter of like and I didn't know this then, but now I know it. Like those emotions don't own you unless you let them. You own those things.
Right.
So, you know, if you're feeling down, frustrated, broken, lost, like you got to talk to someone about it, but it's not a brokenness.
Right. It doesn't define you.
It doesn't define you, and it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you're not capable of having what you want.
Absolutely. Amen to that, honey. So if you could give, you know, aspiring dancers or even dancers who are working and they're just, you know, just going through this thing, what's one tip, one piece of advice that you would leave to them? Or even, let's put it this way, what is one thing that you would tell to your younger self when you were first starting out?
I wish I could have been connected to God. Like I didn't open up to Him as much as I should have sooner. So I think that would have transformed everything. Mm-hmm. But I think inside of that, it's about knowing yourself and then trusting yourself. And if you look at really great artists, they're great in a way that's unique to them. Like no one's ever going to duplicate Sonia Tyatt.
Mm-hmm.
no one's ever going to duplicate, what's his name? Mike Cady. I just think he's brilliant. Or, these people who are just so unique and different. Michael Jackson, of course, right? Like people like that. But people they think they like magically ended up in this position, but they had to go through a space where they like were probably kind of lame, right? Like where their ideas were not developed yet, but they trusted in the spark of something, just like the spark of freestyle showcase and seminar panel. Like I didn't know what it was, but I didn't wait to start until I saw the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a matter of trusting your ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And moving forward before it makes sense, and not being afraid to be something you haven't seen. In fact, being what you've seen is just going to make you another copy of something, And so I just, trusting yourself.
I love that. So how can we connect with you? Where can we find you?
You can find me on pretty much every media handle except for Snapchat, Facebook, Jojo Diggs, YouTube. I believe on YouTube it's Jojo Can Fly, but of course you can search Jojo Diggs. And I don't really tweet. I have a Whoosy What's It, but I don't really tweet very much. I'm mostly active on my Facebook and my Instagram, Jojo Diggs there. And you can check out Diggs Deeper if you want at diggsdeeper.com. We also have a Facebook page there. We have videos up on YouTube if you want to see the Q&A panels or, so I think that's everything. But people can email me at any time. My email is jojocanfly@gmail.com. Obviously I'm a people person. That's why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. So I always tell people, like, I used to kind of feel like, I'm going to annoy them if I hit them up. Like, no, like you fulfill their life. You make them feel like they got to carry out their purpose. So if you ever want to talk, you need advice, you want to ask about God, history, I'll either help or direct you to someone that can. So please reach out to me. So, yeah.
Thank you, Jojo. So thank you for
You're
your
welcome.
spirit. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your time. We'll definitely make sure everyone can reach out to you. We'll get all of her media handles to you on her website. And cool. Please connect and support Diggs Deeper and support Jojo. She can fly, honey. So thank you. And until next time, happy dancing, folks.
All right.